This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.
What is happening? This is J.M. Ryerson. We are on a Tuesday tune-up on the Let's Go Win podcast, and I have my blushing bride here.
You sound so old when you say that.
Why? Blushing?
Do people call
By the way,
people brides anymore?
Sure. I hear it all the time.
Lady
We live
friend.
in Florida. I hear it from 80-year-olds all the time.
Who? 80-year-old?
So you said old. So
Oh.
This is Lisa Ryerson to my left, for those of you watching on YouTube. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is mindset. And I want to talk about 3 quotes that I found that I feel can really help to upgrade your mindset. Now, upgrade is one of my favorite words. I've forgotten the word change because here's why. No one likes change. I have realized that through all the coaching I've done with all the various clients. Whenever I present change, people shut down. But if I present upgrade, people are like, oh, I can upgrade. You're not really making me change anything. You're just adding to what I have today. And so I have a whole subject on that. In fact, I'm writing a book specific to this, but upgrade would be the key here. So there are 3 quotes that we're going to talk about helping to upgrade your mindset. Now, for those of you that like to have complete control, here's the great news. You are in complete control of your mindset. No one can make you think or feel any specific way. I know people will challenge that statement straight away, but only you have the control and the power to feel or think a certain way, regardless of what's happened. So before I get into those, any thoughts? Because again, I know you like to control the narrative at times.
I thought we were done talking about that.
Sorry, look, you got to own who you are. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's who you are. I think it's an amazing thing.
You were calling it an issue 2 episodes ago.
It's not a control issue. It's the issue at hand. It's something that
Still don't think it's an issue.
Okay. Well, it's something that you like control. How's that? Well, you are in complete control of your mindset. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes. Although sometimes I get very challenged. I'm not going to name any names by somebody else that I live with. And that's hard to control my feelings and emotions sometimes when that human likes to poke the bear.
Fair enough. But you are in complete control of your reaction, correct? Or your response, maybe I should say?
Yes. Yep.
So I can't actually make you feel any specific way. I could push a button, but it is
Did I say your name? Oh, see, now you thought it was you.
Oh, I know who it is. But it is up to you to choose how to respond, correct?
Right.
Okay.
I can either throw a TV remote at your head or I can breathe it out and not react.
Both have happened. So far, our remotes have been in good order recently, so I appreciate that. Keep breathing. That's awesome. So the first one is by Brian Tracy. He's been in self-development world for a long time, and it's the key to success is to focus our conscious mind on things we desire, not things we fear. So when you hear that, does that make sense to you?
That's a lot.
But I agree with you. But just think for a second, just the last part of it. The things we desire, not the things we fear. So often people are controlled by their fears rather than what they really want. They are more risk averse than they are going for the things that they really want in life. And I think that's what Brian's speaking to is like, instead of focusing on, holy shit, there's the thing I really don't want. Why don't you focus on what you really do want? That's how I read into that quote. And I thought, again, it was good enough for me to grab it and say, I think that's pretty profound, but that one has to sit. So specific for yourself, you are risk averse, specific to like investments, I'll say. Mm-hmm. You're willing to take risks, certainly in other areas. But when it comes to, do you focus on your fears or do you focus on the things you desire?
So typically I focus on the things I desire. I mean, of course, fear settles in, right? And so this is how I've combated it. So for example, we moved here, as most of you know, over a year ago. And we moved in 60 days. Like we talked about it at dinner about perhaps moving. JM had been trying to move me out of California for the last 10 years. And I finally was open to the idea, and the fear slipped in, right? It was kind of like, oh my gosh, we're going to leave my parents. We're going to leave my friends in California. We're going to move to God knows where. If it's Florida. Okay. And so I literally picked a state that I knew we were moving to. And I started looking at tennis academies that my son could go to, our oldest. TJ plays tennis. And I started looking, every morning I was in bed Googling like 1,000,001 things. And literally, I think by the end of that week, I had the town nailed down. I had the community nailed down. And how I found this community, by the way, was new subdivisions with pickleball courts, because I knew that was really important for JM. And I had the schools nailed down. I had the academy nailed down. Everything was done within that week. And then when fear set in again, it was like, okay, let's go. Like, let's book a flight. We're going to go see it. And actually I had the house, we had the offer accepted even before we even saw the house. So that's kind of how I do it, because I don't like feeling that fear. So whenever I feel it, I just keep on moving forward, because I feel like if we just keep going, then we're going to get through it.
So because I went through this whole T chart of the fears versus the pluses and the minuses, moving here, alligators was a fear of yours. I sent a picture of an alligator in our lake or pond the other day, and she's like, oh, that's so cute. So you've literally taken, that's how much of a Floridian you become in that time. What was a fear is now like, it was a 6-foot baby. Like, come on, that was a big gator.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
It looks so cute in the picture.
So you've upgraded your mindset. Well done.
Imagine that.
That's all awesome.
It's not really an option not to in this household.
That's fair. The second one is by Joyce Meyer, and it's, you cannot have a positive life and a negative mind. And again, that's not very many words. I think this is one of the most profound quotes I've ever found. You cannot have a great life with a negative mind. It just doesn't work that way. You will be consumed. You'll be eaten up by negativity. And it's so important that you get rid of that stuff, that you don't harbor, whether it be, things that you're holding on to from past, things that have gone wrong to you. I'm failing a little bit in explaining it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't hold on to that negative stuff and move forward in a positive way. Any thoughts on this one? Because I love this quote.
Yeah, it's a super simple quote, and I love it too. I think it's so true, because when you're I call it baggage, right? When you're holding on to all that negative baggage of how people wronged you, how, all these bad things, like we've all had stuff happen in our lives. Like, people look at our lives and they're like, Ryerson's like, it's perfect. No, it is far from perfect. Like, we've been through the ringer, right? We've gone through our challenges. We still face challenges on a daily basis with, almost 2 teenagers now. So it's just it's your mindset on it and how you move forward and how you get back up, because we've all been knocked down 1,000,000 times. So I think it's totally true. If you carry on all that negative baggage from your past, right? Or that victim mentality, and I've been there, I've done it many a times, it's really hard to move forward and to have a really positive life, to live your life to the fullest, in my opinion.
Yeah, you found the word I was looking for, which is baggage. And one of my favorite, visuals, and what I actually do when I'm training clients is, imagine wearing a backpack and then taking all that baggage and put that negative rock. Let's call each one of your negative things into that backpack. You keep walking up the hill and more negative shit happens, and you hold on to it. You put that rock in your backpack. Well, you can't keep climbing very long with a heavy backpack. You got to unload it. You got to let that stuff go. And that's what I think this quote's saying is like, look, let it go. You focus on being positive, great things will happen. And I've heard people say, well, look, I know this guy, he's really wealthy and he's a negative asshole. Guess what? He doesn't have a positive life. I promise you. Money and some of these things is not the end all be all. I know some really miserable rich people. That doesn't mean they're happy. And I don't care. Look, I've met some really happy rich people too. But my point is, in order to have a really positive life, you have to have a positive mind. And the next one, everybody has probably heard of this gentleman, and it's from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I'm just in awe of this man because his books were written back in the 20s and they're still so applicable today. And that is, whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. I also like it because it rhymes, but whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. I want to ask you a specific. Have you ever had something where you didn't think you could do it and then you put it out there and you went and achieved it? I'm just curious.
Yes, many a times. Are you looking for a specific
I would love an example. Yeah, because I've seen it too and I love it. This is one of my favorite things in the world, when somebody doesn't think they can do it and then you just say, well, why not? And then they go do it.
Yeah. So I think the first one that comes to mind would probably be my first year in the insurance industry, where I didn't know what I was doing. And, I was watching all their top producers and everybody, and they were making six figures, maybe I think the top guy at the time was like $200,000. And I just remember going, gosh, wouldn't it be nice? Like, it would be cool if I could make six figures, because I've never made six figures before. And this was, 9 years ago. And I remember you saying, you're like, well, if you don't do it, you would have failed. Right. And I took it as, first reaction was kind of like, well, that was kind of shitty. And the second reaction was like, no, like I should, why can't I do this? Right. And I remember putting on my goals on my mirror and, just hitting that and surpassing that in my first year. And then it just kept on going on from there. Cause then the next step was like, oh, it would be really cool if I can make $250,000. And not like money is the biggest thing, but it was just some goal that I wanted to hit. And I was able to hit that year, because my whole thing was the more money I would make, the more money I was giving back into the schools that we were working in. And so that was my goal. Hey, let's make more money. I want to make more money so I can give back that much more back in the schools.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite examples as well, just because I was present during this. And I remember you were so offended when I said, well, you would have failed. Well, you almost doubled it, honestly. I think it was like 160,000 your first year. Mm-hmm. And I thought of it the same way you did, just a little contextually different. I always thought the more money you made, the more people you helped, which I know you're saying the same thing by giving back, but I think of the clients that you helped along the way, how much they needed your help at that time, and you stepped in and did it. So I love this quote. I think, quotes, she unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, gets to hear these all the time because I love to read and I love to share them. But I thought these three quotes, in terms of upgrading your mindset, I just think they're so appropriate, and I hope you guys hear them. And I'd love to hear some of the quotes that you use to upgrade your mindset. Where can they share it with us, Lisa?
So you can always email us at info@letsgowin.com, or check us out on our website, letsgowin.com.
And I want more people to upgrade their mindset. I think this podcast provides for that. So I'd like for you to share the podcast with your loved ones, people that you're like, hey, check out these two. They're knuckleheads. They cuss, they make fun of each other, and they laugh a little bit. That's what I'm hoping for, because I want people to hear the message and be entertained at the same time. So share the podcast, you guys. Subscribe, share, and what's the other one? I always forget.
Review.
Thank you. Review. I'm so bad at that. Please review. That helps. That helps grow this whole thing. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And until next time, you guys, remember, your mindset matters. We'll talk to you then. Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to letsgowinpodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.